Yeah, bourbon.
All right. I'll do the rock because this.
This is Rowena Dooley asking Soul citizens to report for duty.
I've been staring at the moon. Take me higher, waiting for your call.
This is Rowena Dooley asking Soul citizens to report for duty.
And greetings, and welcome back to Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and we are back for another show on Sunday, November the 13th. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm here with a great group of gentlemen again, who neither have limiters on their microphones because their keys just love clicking at the opening of the show.
Hey, mine.
You had DK. You had DK.
That ain't me. That's Younique.
I just
had to
push to talk, so I'm all good.
I
had to respond to. Yeah, I had to respond to Fast Cart, man. He's putting out these crazy statements.
That's okay. I'm just teasing
Sorry.
you guys.
I'll
Blasphemy.
It's okay.
I'll push the talking.
Don't let Fast Cart
Go
get
to
you
the
in trouble.
silent keyboard now.
Listen, hey, we've got a great group of guys here tonight. I'm going to start. I usually start on the far end, but I'm going to start with the guy next to me, the OG in the room, Younique. Younique. How are you, buddy?
Grandpa.
I'm doing fine. It's a good weekend. Just finished off and easing into retirement. So trying to figure out what to do to fill up my day other than sleeping and eating.
Okay. You for retirement. I'm scared to ask how much. You got a long time to go, or are you really getting close to it?
No, I retired back in August 20th.
Oh, you did? Oh, I didn't know that. Congratulations. I remember you talking about it, but I didn't know that was the date. Oh, man. You in the club now.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Somebody said something. I was like, you know what? I really don't have to do this.
I'm out of here. Okay. Well, congratulations. Late congratulations, but that's awesome. Next to me is from the man down in Atlanta, Gomab. How are you, buddy?
I can't complain.
You can't complain. Hey, listen, I want to give a shout out for Gomab now, guys. I found this out the other day. He is now streaming. Let's give him a shout out for the fact that he's now streaming. You all like and follow him. Find him on Twitch. I don't know how frequently he's going to be out. He's just getting it kicked off. He was warming up to it the other night, but you all make sure. In fact, Fast Cart, or I'm not sure if Ops is here, somebody could put his Twitch in, or if you want to put it in Gomab, feel free.
Just GomabATL. Just find me. It's all right. I'm getting into this thing. I'm trying to get set up. I've got some great mentors on the stage right now with me now, just trying to help me get through the rough patches. So
okay, yeah, well, you guys make sure you all like and follow him. Please do. Okay, support him. Okay. And last but not least, the man over there with the name and the shirt to match, Dark Knight 75. What's up, brother?
No, not too much. Not too much. Enjoying Flight Simulator.
You and that
Massive
flight
update.
sim, you and Colossal,
Massive
boy.
update this last couple of weeks.
I
Oh,
know.
it's been so good.
Gigabytes and gigabytes of stuff.
Yes, gigs of stuff. But no, glad to be here, chatting with all of y'all tonight. It's going to be a good time. So looking forward to it.
Good. You had a good time last week at the Bar Citizen?
Oh man, we could go on and on about Bar Citizen. That was such a good time.
Good.
We really had it. You know, the best part I enjoyed was live streaming Soul Citizens Soul Talk here.
Yeah.
On here at the Bar Citizen. I thought that was a lot of fun. Everybody enjoyed it. So hopefully next time we get a chance to do do that again.
Yeah. I was telling the folks on Yacht Club, Gomab, thank you.
Gomab.
That's what he kicked us off.
23 months.
Gotta do it.
That's
Gotta
what
do
way
it.
to kick us off. He's kicking us off the right way. Yeah, I had to tell some people, it was funny, DK, that while you guys were streaming, I looked up and there were people at the Bar Citizen watching the stream. And I'm kind of like,
yes.
Why are you watching the stream? You're here,
Yes.
But they were enjoying watching it. So.
Actually, somebody came right up to me. It's like, look. And I'm like, huh? That's like Inception.
Hey, thanks, Pops.
That's
Appreciate
awesome.
the gift.
Hey,
Thank you,
Pops, thank you
Pops.
so much for that gift.
Thank you, Big Black.
And Big Black
BBG.
Gaming. Thank you
Yes.
for those bits. We appreciate that, man. Thank you guys so much. You guys are kicking us
thanks
off nice.
everybody. Keep coming. Keep
Yes,
them coming.
sir. Keep 'em
That's
coming.
right.
Keep 'em coming. Well, listen, let me ask you guys before I told you what the show was about. What did you guys think this show was about when you saw Sweet and Sour? Did you figure it out, or were you like wondering what the heck is Griff talking about this time?
I was like, here's Griffin going again. He gotten super lazy, don't want to do the show, so he's putting it off on Gomab, Dark Knight, and myself.
Listen,
That was my first thought.
I spent as much time on that artwork as you did probably on that paperwork. Trust me. Get that paperwork
Yeah, that's
together.
why you got wore out. You're like, oh, this sweet and sour hot sauce.
The only thing I can think about, Griff, is Big Benny's a thing now? Is it really going to happen? I want some sweet sour noodles. Come on, bring it.
Maybe it was a new commodity in the game, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, to give you guys the full title for this, it's Sweet and Sour Star Citizen Development. And what I've asked these prestigious gentlemen to do is to list out 3 things that they would say about Star Citizen's development and Squadron 42 that they would consider sweet, but to also outline 3 things that they would say is sour. And we're going to not only talk about it from that perspective, but we're also going to talk about if it's sour, if there's a solution, a recommendation, or an idea, and if it's sweet, is it sweet enough, or can we make it even sweeter? Could it be even better? So I respect these guys. These guys have put in a lot of hours in the game, a lot of time just being backers in the game. So their observation is not like, they just came in last week. They've seen a lot of stuff in the game, and hopefully we'll learn some things, and maybe there'll be some things that you guys may even agree. Also going to ask that if you guys want to put stuff in the chat when we get to the different sweet and sours, if you got something sweet you want to say, you can drop it in chat. If you got something sour you want to say, you can put that in chat, and maybe we'll see it, and maybe we'll even comment on it. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. So again, let me give you the rules here, guys. We're either going to go with sweet. All right. If it's something sweet, we're going to talk about that. We're going to come up with a better, if it's something better, something that can be made even better. And then again, if it's something sour, we're going to end up talking about sour, and then hopefully try to come up with some ideas of what could possibly make it better. Dark Knight, your baby didn't look like that when you gave him some sour stuff, did he? Your little boy? No? Okay.
No.
All right, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and start out. Actually, I'm supposed to start with sour first. So let's start with sour, because it'd be real easy to kind of start with good. So I'm going to start with sour. And DK, since you were the last person to get introduced, I'm going to start with you and ask you if there was something that you would say about Star Citizen first. What would you say your sour would be?
All right. So first, I'm going to start off with saying that I'm looking at this from a development project and not a game.
Okay.
So I come at this from a point of view of I have worked in a development, situations before. It was not game development. It was more of a website software as a service platform development.
Okay.
But, there are things that are very similar under development as a whole.
Okay.
So the first thing that I wanted to say that I did not, that I would consider sour is Communication.
Okay, it was communication. All right, cool.
It was communication.
All right.
And one of the things that, that bothers me about CIG's communication is that they don't have a really good track record of managing the expectations of the community. They kind of let things ride in a way, but don't really, hone it in. So they're kind of tell you what, little things here and there, but they really don't hone in what they're trying to say. It's just kind of leaving it as a loose roll, just kind of whatever it's going to do throughout the community before they come back and say, oh, this is what we really meant. It's kind of one of those things.
Okay.
And so communication is one of the things I don't like. My should I go on with the solution and anything like that?
Well, let's see if we get some feedback from Gomab.
Yeah,
and
I would
Younique,
like to hear
what their thoughts
what
are
everybody
on
else
that.
to say. Yeah.
What do you all think about that as far as communication and the reason why DK says it? Because I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. Gomab, what you got?
It's very close to one of my sours, actually. I mean, it's just another way of saying it. One of mine was, transparency. Is one of my sours that I have, and what I mean by that is that they struggle with finding the balance in context with their community, and so they keep slipping on the same damn banana peel, avoidable banana peel, over and over again.
Now,
it's like,
I want to stop you for a second.
Go ahead.
And I know you'll understand why I'm asking you this, because transparency gets thrown out by a lot of folks and it's used in a very general way. So can you narrow it down? Because you've also the same person that says that CIG is one of the most transparent gaming companies that you've seen. So can you kind of bring it in a little bit more so folks will know exactly what you mean by it? It's like if it's a specific instance or something that reflects what you're talking about.
Well, a specific instance is, or a list of instances are anytime they give dates as to what they're trying to hit and they're trying to do something about it. They say, hey, we've been working on this, it's going well, we haven't finished it yet, but we think we'll be done by October. To me, I just want to flip my table over every time they say that stuff, because I understand development. I understand game development a little bit. And I know that it's the 90% that's the easy stuff. And once you get to that last 10%, that's when things just fall, the wheels just fall off. Right. And that, that what you think may take 3 weeks may end up taking 3 months. And there's absolutely no way to see that before you get there, right? And so your projections were 100% spot on from your perspective when you said it, but things always change. It is a fact that things are always going to happen and things are always going to change, and there's going to be delays, but they keep slipping on that same banana peel over and over again, and putting out this stuff to the community, getting their hopes up, and then taking flames when they miss their targeted dates, even though it was bound to happen.
Okay. Younique, let me jump to you.
Hey, thanks for the subscription.
Because I want to come back, because Gomab was building on what DK said about communication, the way they communicate, and that type of things they communicate that's in the area of transparency. Is there a middle ground per se, Younique? I mean, you can comment to either one of those points, but I'm curious as to is it a tight wire thing, right? If we don't say anything with anticipation of something being completed, do we lose the backer? Is that anticipation of October also part of what keeps me going? Or if I'm left open, does it maintain my sanity, but also maybe make me lose some interest?
Yeah, well, let's see. Again, being a developer, like Gomab said, a lot of it is everybody can do their thing individually. So you got, the thumb working. I'm the guy that wrote the code for missiles, and in his test environment, it works great. And here's the guy with the landing gear, in his environment, it works great. The problem where the 90% done, the 10% left is integrating all the pieces together. And that's where you find the integration problems, and that's what lengthens out the time. And it's like, oh, we got to go back and rewrite that because person A didn't, his library, the data type was a character, and this guy's library was numeric. Instead of button A, B, C, D, he wanted 1, 2, 3. Well, how do you integrate that? One side of the code has to change to the other. That lengthens the time frame. So that's part of why they stopped telling time, dates and things, because once you hit the integration phase, it's almost impossible to stay on track. You just can do your best. The whole problem is that's not what they said at the very beginning. Guys like you and me that have been around since day one, we're going to be fully transparent. Well, you're not being fully transparent, But what that means is I'm going to throw out what I think the dates are going to be. And if we don't hit them, we just don't hit them, So tried, didn't hit it. Here's the new date.
Yeah.
That's fully transparent, but it also depends. Now you suddenly get a quantity of people you need to appease, and it just depends on how ridiculous they act based on that scenario. So they were getting just flamethrowered all the time, and that seems to be the crowd. Everybody likes to flamethrower them, so they started backing off of giving dates.
Okay.
And now we're stuck there. So older people like us, been around since day one, we don't get what we were promised. Other people are happier because they're not hearing the dates, but they really are happier because there's no letdown, right? They don't actually want to hear a date because they don't want to let down.
Yeah.
Problem is they're still giving dates, right?
Yeah, they do on occasion.
Well,
They will say next quarter or last quarter this year.
Well, no. Chris Roberts got up there and said, "Hey, we're shooting for the second week of this for that, and we're going, and then by this date we're trying to have this out, and blah blah." And I get what he's saying. Hell, what Black Sky Legion just was talking about today, where they're telling us that we will get 318 in December.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's fantastic. Get your hopes up. Everybody clear your calendars, for 318 in December. It's going to be game changing. Oh, wait. We found that one bug we're going to have to push this back to February.
Yeah.
Like, just stop. Don't put any time frames on anything. Just say this is what's coming next. Okay. That's how you fix that communication.
Okay, let me go to Dark Knight because I wonder whether or not CIG has boxed themselves in. We got excited when it came with the quarterly drops, but that also locked them into delivering something every quarter. And if they don't deliver something in that quarter, because they've said it, we're going to say, well, they said they were going to give us something every quarter. So that also, to me, is as nice as it is, because it gives us some idea of regularity, that something's at least going to come. But it's also made it so that when they do have to say, we can't do it in December, it comes out in February, then it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't, to a certain degree. Let me go back to DK. DK, you were going to give what you thought a solution would be, because you kind of heard what these guys were saying, and this is still tied into your communication piece. You're muted, buddy.
Push to talk.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on, but no, it's exactly what what we're all talking about. They need to learn how to manage expectations. It's like you said, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I have, without going off subject, one of the things that I had always thought when I heard open development from CIG was that one day this might end up shooting them in the foot. That this kind of open development is great in the beginning, because we're learning about how things are going along, and a lot of us that were into the game or into this project was because we had a vision and an idea of what the future of this project might be, and we stuck around for it, and we pledged for it, and we did this, we did that, but we followed the bug reports and things like that, and submitted issue council reports, all that kind of stuff that people were doing in the beginning. But now here we are, 2022, and you got people who are gamers that don't care about development. Don't give a damn about what is going on with why this is going, taking so long to work, why this is doing that. And the problem is that open communication kind of, it's like you said, a double-edged sword. It's great for those of us that are interested in the development of a project, but it's not a sore spot for the casual, for the gamer coming from, I don't know, Call of Duty. I'll just say it because everybody else says Call of Duty, coming into the game expecting a finished product. And I think that's where we're at now, where CIG is trying to temper both of those sides, and it's really hard to do so.
What's your fix? What's your recommendation, or something that you think would make it better, for lack of a better term, communication?
Man, at this point, what they're doing right now with Star Citizen Live and ISC, I think is really good. I like that format. I think that is the type of solution for me personally, of ways to not only temper expectations, but also give informative information, just informative detail into the project and what's going on with it.
Okay.
I think this is just recent though, because they haven't done this up until now. These new formats thanks for the subscription. This new format that they've come up with is a wonderful format for me. I think it's great. There's a lot of new information and learning new about developers and things like that. Yeah. This is going to end up going into my next suite. So, but the solution is keep doing what they're doing. Right now, from here forward, keep doing what they're started doing now. I love it. I like this new format. Jared, great. I love this new format. Keep it going. Keep bringing in us, the new developers that haven't had a say or a chance to speak out. I think it's great. But I'm going to shut up because I need to, let everybody else.
That's cool. Okay. Gomab, you kind of gave us your piece on transparency. Was there more that you wanted to say about it? Because otherwise I'll go to Younique on his.
No, that's it. I mean, I'm just going to say, you want to know the fix. The fix is to keep telling us what they're working on. Tell us what's coming. Tell us what's coming next. Tell them that they're pushing to get it out as soon as possible within the next patch cycle, but don't lay out timelines for the community to get wrapped around.
But isn't there a patch cycle now, because they've said the patches will come out quarterly?
Yeah,
do they need to get away from that? Do they need to get away? Do they need to get away from that?
If that's not enough, for them to, because think about it, because you have a quarterly patch cycle for a major patch, but then you also have dot patches within them as well. Right. So it could be in the dot patch, right? Hey, in the next, look, sometime in the 3.18 time, we're trying to get this feature in. We're working hard on it. Hopefully, barring any challenges, it'll be out.
Really Gomab just made the exact same mistake that they're making. They're putting a label on it. 3.18. You don't do that. You signed up to releasing something every quarter. You got till December 31st for this quarter to release something. What you do is tell us what you're working on. Don't apply it to when it's coming out. Going to be. Then announce 3.17.9. This is the last version in 2022. And here's what you're getting from what you already got. And that's it.
So let's say that we know that patch cycles are going to happen, right? Every quarter. And like you said, Gomab, December's coming up, right? We know we always get that holiday, before the holidays patch, right? Are we saying, now this is the thing that I'm trying to figure out. I'm just asking, are we saying it's best not to say what's going to be in the patch? In other words, something's coming.
Until you know what's going to be in it.
Say again?
Until you know what's going to be coming in
Until
it.
you know.
When you know you got things working, and it's going to be different than the last version. Here's 6 things that are coming in the new patch.
So basically that means don't say nothing till the very end.
No, you say, these are the things we're working on. But you're not committing to when they're going to be in anything.
Yeah, I don't know if people's brains translate that. If you say, like, for example, they say we're working on the Corsair, the this, and the Scavenger. For when? I can look at the progress tracker and see stuff for the whole freaking year. But that doesn't tell me if what's going to be included in 3.18.
Right. That's the magic. That's the surprise.
Maybe show things that are in that candidate state, but not, you know what I'm saying?
Like right now,
they have tentative. They have tentative,
right? And they have that it's going to go. They give it a green light. That's what they do now.
Yeah.
And all they did with 318 was push it back past IAE.
Yeah.
It's still in the same quarter.
As long
I
as it
just don't want
comes,
them to do dates.
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
No, I
as
hear
long as
you.
it's in the
hear
quarter,
you.
but which is December 31st, they make the
They're
timeline.
good, right? Exactly.
Yeah. I don't want. Okay, we're going to move on because I can stay on this all day. Younique, let me go.
That could be a whole show. This could be a
I know,
whole
I know
show.
this- I know communication. I
Talking
know.
about communication.
I know it could be. You're right. You're right. You are so right. Younique, what was your one that you had for your first hour?
So my first hour is about what I call game continuation bugs, things that randomly come up that break whatever you're trying to do. Like you're traveling and you magically get to a site, say a bunker mission, you fall through the stairs, or you fall through the elevator, and players can't get to you to fix you, but it didn't actually kill you. So you're sitting there slowly dying, and it says, hey, you're going to be here for an hour, just losing breath slowly from a slow leak in your suit, but you can't crawl out because both your legs are broken or whatever. It's just ridiculousness. Like you should have never fallen through some random hole in the elevator because there's no hole there. And it takes so long to get reset, and you're going to respawn back from, halfway across the galaxy. So it's a huge waste of time. Like all the time you put in that you're trying to accomplish something, have fun, even if you're just testing the loop, that's not part of the test of the loop, except, hey, I found this hole, which is okay the first time, go back the second time to verify that it's there. But then they never put effort into fixing it. And so you end up with a whole bunch of things that are stacked up together that just prevent you from actually having fun in a loop.
So what would be your recommendation to address, like, for example, I do something, I crash. I mean, technically the game has certain things built in. Like if let's say I leave ArcCorp, I go to Aberdeen near Hurston. Technically, I'm supposed to stop at some point in there and save my location closer there, so in case something happens to me, I wake up at Hurston, not all the way back at ArcCorp. But you're saying that there may be cases where I missed that, and now the frustration is I've got to go all the way back to freaking ArcCorp.
I'm fine with that.
Or something happens where they can't even get to me, even if I'm incapacitated because I fell through the floor, right? I'm stuck between beams in the station or something, right?
Right. So things like that, and I'm fine with you should stop at a station, log your bed there so you can respawn in case something happens. But you're doing that not because it's a good idea from the general play of the thing. You're doing that in case you fall through the random secret hole kind of thing. If I go in and I am careless and I get shot in the chest and I die from the enemy, or the pirates that are there, that's my fault. When I fall through a fake hole through the thing, that's not my fault.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be spawning back anywhere because I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm okay eating time if I did something wrong.
Right.
This is the game, the software doing something wrong. And then the response we get from it is nobody fixes it. And when you get enough of these things to happen, there's only so many times everybody can tell you, well, don't stand in the back left of the elevator going down. Okay, don't come off of make sure you don't leave a box when your ramp is coming down from your ship, or your ramp will break, or just there's so many things that you can't do. You can never remember
all of them. And it gets more and more hectic as you get a bigger and bigger group of players together. And everybody's moving quick and fast and trying to do things. Somebody makes a mistake and then you just lose one or two party members. There's not a quick fix for it at all. This has come up in conversations talking about those things that when you've played the game long enough, you subconsciously have all these check marks in your head of things not to do because you've kind of learned over time, and someone else comes in the game that has no idea not to, like you said, back in the day, for example, when we were getting quantum working, like you said, stand too close to a wall, or how about moving through a ship, you fly out, right? I mean, people who've been around for a while know, hey, grab a seat. You've got the new player who's excited about being able to walk around on the ship, and they fly out of it, and then they're frustrated, right?
Yeah, he was told he could walk around, but he really can't walk
something
around
on a ship that's in quantum and then drop the bottle.
Yeah, right.
Drop it.
Right.
You drop that bottle,
boom. Right. So
I've been sitting in the seat and have just been. I was flying with Griffin. I was in the seat, latched in. He's just taking off, and my character just blacked out.
Yeah.
I've got a full suit on. Like, why am I blacking out?
Yeah.
So
God knows what would happen to me if I was standing up, walking around.
Yeah, now there are those game continuation bugs. I agree. And some of them, and people have said some things have literally been around for years. Rob has been good to come on the show and talk about some of the things that have existed that have been around for 2, 3, 4 years still that have not been addressed in the game. Okay. All right.
And that happens with development too. I was sitting there just as you were talking there, Younique, that, when I was working with some of the back end developers and I'm sitting on the front end, I'm like, can you please fix this so I can finish what I need to do?
Yeah.
It might be a bug sitting back there and it's just like, come on, I've been asking about this for months. I need it done so I can finish what I need to do on my end. Yeah. And sometimes that's just how it works. And it gets frustrating, very frustrating.
Well, here's the biggest thing, right? You like, I got some big ships. Multi-cruise ships. I got them so that we could multiplayers together stuff, right? So say it's a 6 or 7 person ship and you got 6 people and a 7th person says, hey, I'm coming. And you're like, I don't know this guy. You guys know this guy? No, he's just new. He's new. He just started playing. And your answer then is, nah, you can't come. Yeah. Because he doesn't know all the holes. He's just going to slow you down. Right? And that's not why I bought the ship. That's not what I want to say. I want to say, come on, sit in that gunner seat and let's rock it. Yeah. And you can't do it because you're going to spend half your time resurrecting this guy.
Yeah.
Somebody will fly back to get him from the hospital or what.
Yeah. Or he'll drop a bottle on your carrick and blow it up.
Yeah. No, there are those weird things that we've all learned or come to learn. There are some things that even if you've been gone for a patch or 2, you come back and things are different and changed. I hate defaulting to this because I'm seeing what Billy Sundown saying. Should the dev team compromise and make the game less like a sim and more arcadey to compensate for the bugs in design? The fallback to this, or the waiver, whether we like it or not, is that it's in alpha and in development. That's the waiver. For some of the
that's
things,
a waiver, which also allows them to change some things so the game is enjoyable for people. Like, hey, okay, this guy fell through the thing, he's hurt.
As long as it's
alpha, I shoot him and kill him?
Listen, guys, I'm not trying to defend him, but as long as it says alpha, you cannot. That is not something you can ask for in an alpha. You can't.
Why? What?
Because alphas
I can't ask them to turn off a crime stat if I kill somebody in my party.
Because most games or most development, you don't even see it in alpha because it's this way. Because it's janky like this. It doesn't even go public when it's alpha because it's so bad. And people come to the game.
And you know how big the test group is for that?
But does it make a difference? It's still considered alpha. Listen, I'm still small. Yeah, but I'm just saying that's the problem. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm saying, unfortunately, that is the hard, big horse pill that sucks to have to swallow. That's all I'm saying.
But with that mindset, here's what happens. Because when you leave it like that, I can't get to other problems in the game because I never get there. Right? I.e., I can't kill that member that's slowly dying. I can't kill that member that's slowly dying that fell through the elevator,
right?
Without getting a crime stat, and then the bunker starts attacking me. They can turn that off very easily.
They fixed that. If he is in your party, it defaults to declining to press charges unless they decide to press charges against you.
Right. They did. So they did put that in because of
that
what you
was
said.
315, 316.
But Younique's right. That was the problem. And GomabATL's correct because they did put a fix in for it, to a workaround. Maybe that's a better way of putting it.
They
did put a workaround for it so that it wouldn't
happen. You can do small workarounds like that to let game continuation
continue to go. Okay. How about that?
Because it is alpha. We're looking for bugs. If I found the elevator bug, I can't find the next one.
Yeah, I get it, but also if they start creating stuff that's not related to the game, that's extra stuff they're making to make an alpha work. That's my other problem with that. Who's dropping
things they can take out?
TV Liquid. Oh my God, 149 viewers.
What?
TV. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. Bring him in.
Good googly moogly. Welcome to TV Liquid fans.
They must have heard that GomabATL.
Here we go.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to the stream. We're talking about Amaranth and her. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God. Welcome to the stream, y'all. We are talking about Sweet and Sour, the development of Star Citizen, and having a very interesting conversation and a very enlightening conversation about our feelings about that. All right, we've been on Sour. Let's change the channel. And we're going to go and go to Sweet, and we'll come back to Sour after that. So,
welcome to the
TV,
channel,
thank
everybody.
you again, man. Appreciate you.
Hope you all the time channel.
Yep. Hope you had a great stream, TV. And again, thank you so much as always for supporting us and sending your lovely people our way. Okay. All right, let's get into the sweets here. Let's see. I'll go with Younique for Gomab this time. Gomab's already pointing. All right, Gomab, what you got, brother? What you got?
Transparency.
You gonna flip the script now, huh? Okay. Okay, you're gonna flip the script.
Yeah.
Pyroforest, thank you for that sub. Thank you so much.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like Sour Patch Kids, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay.
It's sweet and it's sour.
Okay, it's sweet
Because-
and sour.
Yeah. We talked about the bad side of the transparency.
Mm-hmm.
But seriously, there's literally never been a game where we've had this much interaction directly with the folks making the game. We know their names. We know who they are and what they do and how they impact what we're experiencing as alpha testers of this game. That is literally unheard of in the industry, and the secret sauce that keeps us engaged in this experience. So yeah, that's, to me, is probably like, if somebody asks me, so give me one reason why you're here, and I'll say it's because I feel like I'm a part of making something amazing. I'm not just here to launch and play. I'm a part of making it great. Because of the transparency they have with us in the community.
I never thought about it. From something you said resonated a little bit that I never gave thought to, when you said not only do we know them, but we know their by name, which is, like you said, first of all, there's an aspect of them being willing to open up that part of themselves. They're private, basically their private life of who they are. They're not giving us some game name.
Right.
Like when you play Eve, you get somebody's game name as a dev. Here you're getting, Paul Jones's name. You know what I mean? I never really gave much great thoughts to that. That's an interesting point. Is there anything that you think could make it better, or is you think that's pretty sweet the way it is?
Like I said, I think it's the secret sauce, right? I think that's what gives even us folks that get so frustrated with the bugs that Younique was talking about, with the other issues that we may have, the humanizing element of knowing who these people are. Know that they're just trying to do the best they can to make something that's never been made before, and they're not going to get it 100% right every time. And so, at the very least, they deserve a little grace, right? With this, as we go, and we do expect growth and progress,
right,
and getting better along the way, But yeah, I think and yes, they could do a lot better. We talked about the transparency, of ugly side of transparency. There's a lot of stuff they could do better about how they're communicating, interacting with their community.
I'll ask a question.
Go ahead.
If they didn't have this level of transparency, does Jared Huckabee actually get a job at CIG?
No. A lot of folks.
He's not a developer. Like, what does he do?
No,
yeah, a lot of folks wouldn't have it.
That's why we got him, right? And I mean, it's great to have him.
Yeah,
and that's amazing. All of that is almost like the fact that they do it is perfect. Again, they're humans, and they're trying to do the best that they can, and they make missteps along the way, right? With how they communicate things, they give dates when they just erase the time paradigm from their brain, or at least from their vocabulary at all times when communicating with the community. There's other things, right? How they came out last year, or was it earlier this year, where how they communicated the whole thing around how we got to pare back the roadmap because y'all just can't handle it. 100% true. Every word was fact. But how they
delivered it.
How you delivered it, I was like, you could have done that better, right? You could have softened that up a little bit, or you could have done what you did and taken it on yourself. It did nothing to put it back on the community by taking it and say, hey guys, we just can't handle this pace. We got to slow it down. We got to do this because we want to make sure we do it quality. So this is what we're going to do, and leave it at that, and don't put it back on the community. That would have been better, in my opinion. and not elicit as many flames. But again, I'm not on the complaining side. I'm on the side of saying this is sweet. I appreciate them. Keep it up. Keep getting better at it.
Okay. Younique, what's your second? What's your sweet?
My sweet is the mining gaming loop seems to be pretty stable and fun if you're into mining to do. So, it's getting there. Things are working out pretty good. The way to improve it, I think, would be to create some mining missions, get them into the actual mission giver kind of thing. Like, the emperor of whatever planet is asking for whatever random commodity, diamonds or quartz or something. You go out and you mine it and you deliver it.
Yeah, that's nice.
And so because the economy system's not there, they kind of fake it, but everything else is there. The missions, the giving out of money for completing the missions, make me making a couple of long run kind of things to get them. So, and then the other would be through the same mechanism that already exists, give players the ability to send out mining beacons to, hey, come join me. I don't have that big enough a ship to do this. So if you took a mission, I could join you to help you get it done if it's a timed thing, or something like that.
Yeah. I like both of those, especially the mission one, because I never really thought about mining missions, that you could pick up. That would be beyond, because you can go out and do it yourself just to make money, but to do it with a purpose would be very cool. That's nice.
Or mining contracts to make some things that are not quantanium.
Yeah, that needs to be made.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, we really need
aluminum, or
gold.
we need something else, right?
Right.
You know
we
what
need
I'm saying?
diamonds. We need quartz.
Diamonds.
You don't care what they are. They're a manufacturer. They need something.
Yeah.
They're willing to pay that extra. Just like, hey, I want McDonald's, but I don't want to go get it. So you pay Uber. Right.
And even if Quanta isn't in, they can still put those in as dummy missions, which would still be very cool.
Well, they wouldn't even really be dummies. It's just not tied to Quanta because nothing's tied to Quanta.
That's what I mean.
Now.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
They just fit into Quanta later on.
Right. Okay, good. I like that. DK, what about you? What do you got for a sweet?
You know how we were talking before, how we might end up piggybacking on all right, so both Gomab and Younique piggyback on something that I was going to bring up anyway. Okay. But I think it's great because it really shows where we are in thought, where we are in our thought processes. So Gomab mentions us shortening the roadmap. I am sitting here reading it. I like that they shortened the roadmap. Damn you, Gomab. So anyway, communication. That's my sweet.
Okay.
Again, next to the, the sour, the communication is also there. You mentioned transparency, Gomab. They could go even further in the depth. That'd be really nice. Like I said, the ISC and the SCLs that have been coming out recently have been great for me because I enjoy learning about all this stuff in the back end and what it takes to get there and the kind of problems they run into. I think this is great. Can they improve upon it? Absolutely. We already talked about managing their expectations, but maybe now they could just take the time to feed off of what the community is thinking and wants to know and kind of build more on that. It really is kind of what is it, gauging the temperature of what is happening in the community. I think they're doing a pretty good job of that. I think Jared does a really good job of seeing what's happening, and he's working more or harder towards managing the expectations because he sees us, he sees everybody. He knows what's going on, he hears about it, so it's nothing new to him. And then going into the missions, well.
Or are you pretty content with it?
I'm content with it. There's some things they could, like bug smashers. They could bring that back. I would enjoy it. I would enjoy it. I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
I would love it just to see. Okay, here's a bug. Here's what we had to do. I had to deal with that with the developers of my company too. It's just like, what's the bug? Let me show you to you. How are you going to fix it? Show me how you fix it. That's even cooler. It's just like those kinds of things. But we'll get into the content and the gameplay and stuff like that Younique was talking about, because that was one of my other talking points. Was about the missions and things like that.
Cool. All right, those sweets, sweets would get easy to get through. It's those sour ones that are the toughies, boy, I tell you. All right, So let's
Like
go
it
ahead.
could be its own show.
Yeah.
The sour.
I know.
Exactly.
The
All right.
sour and the salty.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into round 2 of the sours. Round two of the sours. Younique, coming to you on this one. You can start us out. What's your sour
really?
you got? Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of ships just don't fully work. There's always something wrong with it where, so you get together with some people and you say, hey, I'll bring this ship. And they're like, oh, that one flies buggy. Oh, that one's got a hole in it. You fall through it. Something X, Y, or Z doesn't work. The shields don't work on it. Like, it's a random list. And so, and if you don't fly every ship all the time, you don't know. I got a ton of ships. So I was like, hey, I'll bring that ship. And it turns to be, there's one thing I can't fly a lot of ships that they haven't produced yet, right? I can't fly my Kraken. I can't fly the whatever the other BS ships I got. But something like the Mole, the guy just, it's too buggy. It just doesn't fly well. They're worried about it running into their ships, when we get close to binding together and stuff.
I don't know. Is that the ship or whoever's flying that ship? Because I ain't heard nobody complaining about the Mole
So I don't know, but people just make comments, right? Or, at some point, one of the Constellation ships shields didn't work, so you're like, oh, I'll bring the perfect ship, and it turns out not to be the perfect ship.
Okay.
So that's pretty annoying to me.
Okay. So your recommendation was, you were saying something about a list or something. What were you saying would be like the recommendation to work around for that, or is it information that they need to provide, like something that says this ship is not functioning, like say like a reclaimer, right? You buy it because you think you can do salvage, only to find out the salvage mechanic isn't operating on it.
Right. So as a developer, you're going to see a unique perspective on this one.
Okay.
Write better code.
But is that going to fix the problem if a mechanic's not in the game?
Okay.
How's that going to do?
Time out.
Okay.
Time out. What is the cycle of development? You write a bunch of code, then it goes into a testing phase, and magically it comes out of the testing phase and it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, you go back in and fix it. You don't deploy it.
So are you talking about something that doesn't work that should be working? Is that
if they released a ship and the ship has shields, the shields should work.
Okay. I thought you were talking more around the game mechanic side of it. I see what you're saying. Okay.
No, they're like, you can't protect yourself because the shields don't work.
I got you.
Oh,
now.
really?
Shield holes on the Connie.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you now.
Death trap, right?
Okay.
So now the perfect ship, I can't bring it, even though I have it. I can play it, but I really can't play it. Same as the holes falling through the thing. There's just these random problems.
I'm asking, all three of you guys are in development, software development. I'm asking this question because I'm ignorant of this next question I'm going to ask you. Is it being released because it's giving us something it's giving us something while they're working on it versus giving us nothing while they're working on it?
Nah, they got to list
in other words,
we got plenty of stuff.
No. I'm saying, let me give you an example of what I mean by that. Connie comes out and it's working. Patch comes out, now we got shield holes. So they can't go back. They're not going to retroactively take it back to what it was before. My question is, do we have it with the holes? Because once that patch came out, all of a sudden there's some problems in the code, and it's better for us to at least have that than to pull it out.
Yeah. So
the reason it has holes is because they added some other stuff that's causing it to have holes. But there should be a after action team following up on some of these minor things.
Which they do. Which when a patch comes out, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Really?
They'll put down known issues, and then when it's in PTU, and then they work on them and whittle them down until they're gone before it goes live.
Yeah. And
except those things are in live.
Regression testing.
Right.
It's regression testing, right? And they've got so many ships that I don't think they have the tooling or the processes in place to be able to test all of the breaking changes that are happening whenever they push something new. And, because that's what that's why they have to standardize or homogenize all the components, because there was so many variants that they couldn't test. They would spend a half a year just regressing testing, and nothing would ever get released. And
Right.
if nothing got released, then nothing would get tested. So if the goal is for them to test the new shield technology, if 20% of the ships had issues with that shield technology, but the other 80 gave them good data, in the alpha stage that they're in right now, release that shit. Let's test it.
I was just about
I
to
know I know it's frustrating for us when what we want to do isn't available. But you have to remember, you're here to not have fun, right? Fun is a byproduct that you hopefully will get as part of your testing.
Mhm. I was going to say that, when it comes to, and Gomab, you hit the point on that one. The test, the point where we are right now in an alpha state is that we're constantly putting new things in because we have to keep putting new things in order to make the game work, in order to make the game a game. If we stop and we focus on, say, I might have, a team focus on this particular API. We've got 30 APIs going into this piece of software, but I need you to focus on this one piece because this part of code is broken and it's not working. But we got 30 other APIs over here that also have broken code. And we're going to fix those once we get all of the different APIs connected to the system first, as opposed to trying to troubleshoot one piece. We're going to do them all at the same time, but we need to get them all plugged in first. And that's kind of where we're at with this game. It's like we've got content that's going in. We're plugging new things into the code. Might have to rewrite some things, but in order to get them in there, some things might end up breaking because of, some kind of dependency on another piece that's just not connecting right, or this isn't doing what it's supposed to do. And we might have to wait. A lot of the times, most of this doesn't get cleared up until we go into a beta state, because right now we just have to get everything in. The bare bones, the foundation, the tier zeros of every single little nit and bit that they want to get into this game. And it's going to break some stuff, but they won't get back to it later. And it sucks. It might put something in like salvaging. Tier 0 salvaging, I'm sorry to be honest, but tier 0 salvaging might be tier 0 for the next 2 years. That's all we know. We don't know what they're going to end up doing, but they have to get it in there. It has to be in order for the next version to,
let me jump in because I want to move on to the next hour because I think Younique's got a good one here. And I understand better now when he's saying about, when something's in the game. And you guys know the history of this, that they have had real issues with changing the code over to this new stuff, even moving from what was Flash into building blocks. There's a whole lot of stuff that they've had to go back and literally do, which has caused a lot of the problems that they've had. I've heard people say this, and I need to know, is this a practical statement from you guys? Because again, you're in software development. Sometimes I've heard people say they should stop putting stuff in the game and fix everything that's in there now. Is that a realistic statement or not realistic statement?
It's not a realistic statement because you're not going to get 100%, but here's what you can get, right? So the developers develop and they get paid to do that. That's their job. On the other side, they've asked everybody else, us that aren't working for them, to work for them in some capacity to test. So how do we get paid? We get paid in fun. I test it. I find the horrors that are not fun. I tell you about them. You should be making a list of these and addressing them. Not all of them, but some of them, especially things that are really close to a game loop being pretty complete, where we can go and have fun. I'm telling you, fix this and I'll have more fun, right? I'm not telling you this and I'm not going to wait around forever for you to decide that I'm having fun, because that'll never happen. You're a developer. Your job isn't fun, and your job is not to test for fun. That is the tester's job.
So is part of the problem Younique, and I'm asking this, not asking you this, but I'm asking this in general. I know a lot of people who, when they run into the bugs and run into the problems, they shut down and that's it. They don't use the mechanism you're talking about of posting and saying, hey, there's a bug, or going in and saying and giving details and taking screenshots. That part of the testing side, they ain't trying to do. They love to test it when it's working, but when something goes wrong, it's easier to say, I'm done, I'm out of here. And now it doesn't move up in priority, right? And you know, it's not, there's not an overwhelming influx of something that needs to be fixed in the game. Even though I know they are still getting some stuff, but I wonder what percentage of
is there
players.
a big track record of them fixing the things, and you know, where somebody who has posted says, yeah, that's done, and now it's fun.
I'm saying
right?
that if the community is doing their part, which I doubt a lot of them do, you'd put more pressure on them to get stuff done. That's all I'm saying. And I think there's a lot less people that post and you know, and go to the issue council. I'd be scared if I'm not being funny. If the percentage is higher than 30% of the players, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. All that matters is, has it been reported enough so that we can replicate it?
30% of the players dropping versus 50% of the players, whether the ratios stay the same, still says something overwhelming. But if there's a lower percentage of people complaining about it, that other 70% of the people must be like, oh, well, it's not so bad. It's okay. The bulk of our people aren't complaining about it.
No. You're trying to say that the absence of information.
No, I'm not saying that.
Is a valid
no, not absence of information. I'm saying absence of pressure.
70% of people aren't supporting it and not putting in pressure, but that doesn't mean that the 30% who did report it doesn't mean that it's real. All you need is enough cases that a developer can go in and replicate it.
Yeah.
If I can replicate it, then I should be able to go in and find the problem.
Yeah.
At least figure out what the fix needs to be.
And I agree with you on that point. I'm saying, how do we bring greater urgency to it? If there's a larger percentage of the gamers who are saying this is a real problem, all I'm saying is that you may raise the urgency or priority level of it, even though it goes in, like you're saying, you know, even if it's 10% of the people, right? They can tell which bugs are the ones that they have more problems with. But I'm just saying, I think sometimes the community is passive about it, that they're not as active as testers. They don't mind playing, but the testing side of it, they ain't.
Yeah, but they're not getting paid, so they just do other things.
Right. And that's where you hit the nail on the head, Griff, actually. And to that point, this is where CIG kind of shot themselves in the foot. Mm-hmm. You know, they've put it out there so, you know, that we as backers are, in a sense, QA testing the game for them so that we can report to them what is going on, what kind of bugs we run into and things like that. But at the same time, a lot of these new people that are coming in here don't care. They don't care. They just want it fixed. Yeah. And they're going to scream and yell about it, whether it is a high priority in the overall backing community or if it's just a high priority for them and their Discord server. You know, that's the only that's where we're at right now. Yeah. Now, CIG, I would say that the issue council does do a decent job of, prioritizing high value or at least in demand issues. You know, those that have been voted up very high. They do respond to them. Some things they fall back on, like the nose of this 400i is still white when the paint, you know, or the doors don't open in the loadout room. But anyway, we're at a point where now players have an expectation of a finished game, a lot more than they did maybe 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, now I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I think you know where I'm going at, though.
I get it. No, I get it. And again, I'm looking at what Moriar said. Sorry, but if a bug is identified, and if you've got 1,000 bug reports on the same bug, if it's not fixed, then it's no longer on the player base, but on the responsibility of the developer. And listen, I agree, guys. I agree. I'm just saying.
But I have something to say about that.
Okay, let me finish this. Let me say this real quick. But someone mentioned earlier that in order for things to move to priority, there's got to be more than 80 complaints on the bug. You know, that's another thing too. So go ahead, Gomab. What were you gonna say?
A lot of times, and they have said this, I think people just stick their fingers in their ear. They see the bugs, guys. Mm-hmm. They see them. They look at them, and then they say, okay, is this a breaking thing, right? Is this something that, like, yeah, it's an inconvenience? Or is this something preventing us from getting the testing data that we need in order to continue developing the game? That's the first thing that they do. And then the second thing that they do is say, hey, is this something that we need to peel resources off to work on now? or is this something that we think is going to be
Fixed later.
fixed
Mhm.
in a when we replace the system that is impacted with an entirely different thing? Like, should they stop working on PES, folks? Should they say, you know what, we're going to push 318 out so we can go work on your bug that you drop your freaking multi-tool and it disappears? I know that's annoying, so we're going to push out PES so that doesn't happen to you, even though when PES comes out, that should never happen to anybody ever again. I mean, I swear, that's the problem with the transparency and the thought, because people just aren't able to really grasp how this stuff actually works. And so they have their issues, they see it in their own bubble, and then they scream and holler when they don't take a step back and say, you know what, let me look at this objectively and understand, hey, yeah, this may be annoying for me right now, but will this be fixed in a system change that they have planned in the near future? Or, hey, is this just annoying to me? Is the goal of this alpha test is for them to get data and to test these systems. If my Connie doesn't work, can I do it in an MSR? Can I do it in a Vanguard? Can I do it in a Freelancer? Can I do it in a Cuddy Black? Right? Can I go fly and do other things in a ship that I don't want to fly? You know, it may not be what I want at the moment, but can I still accomplish this goal? And if the answer is yes, then just go do that.
Yeah. Okay.
We test
yes, as long as you know that that there's the problems and you have these alternate ships. The problem is I flew in a Connie and it didn't work and I got exploded, and now I got to go back and resurrect and start all over, and I got to go in ship number 2.
It's annoying.
And then that ship doesn't work. You know, like you're trying to wonder, like, you know, 3 strikes you're out. I only got 4 ships.
Hey,
You know?
Let me put a cap on this, guys, because we got to get to our next thing. Moriar, I see your message and I do appreciate that, but this is not the talk show that we bring folks in. It's got to be either the Thursday or Saturday show. So maybe we'll bring this up on one of those shows and we can do it. But thank you for the offer. But I got to get through all this other stuff, and we're not even halfway through the show yet, and we're already at our halfway point on our time. So now that Younique has totally taken 20 minutes of that deep question that he decided to answer, let's go to Dark Knight. DK, what's your sour?
Okay, so this sour is kind of piggybacking off the first sour that we had. Younique was talking about missions and stuff like that. So lack of, you know, for me, it's just a lack of the overall content that I want. Now, see, I'm using the word I because I think that's going to be a spot for everybody. There's no content for me, you know, and, you know, one of the things that was kind of, you know, kind of hit a sour patch for me was when they took the passenger missions or the taxi missions off of the tracker. And my thought was, why did you put them on there in the first place if you knew you weren't going to have these in here for another 18 months? You know, it's just like, why even bring it up and, you know, just kind of, you know, throw a bone at me and be like, oh yeah, here's what we got coming. Oh, we're going to pull this off because we're not ready because we don't have server meshing. Why didn't you just tell me this in the first place? I already knew you probably weren't going to do it in the first place, but why didn't you just speak up and just say it? Why even put it on the project tracker to tell us that you were working on it, or even bringing it up and put it on the roadmap? They put it on the release view of the roadmap and then immediately pulled it off, or, you know, eventually pulled it off. Why? Why did you even put it up there? You knew you were not going to be doing that.
Did they though, DK? I'm gonna push back. Did they know? Because remember, resources got pulled, particularly for Squadron 42. A lot of stuff got changed, right?
Yes, that's the only constant is change. Jared says it all the time. The only constant is change, and yes, that is true.
Yeah, he didn't come up with that statement.
He did. Right.
He hasn't trademarked it.
Trademarked it yet.
No, you know what? Your point is well made, because remember the thing with the Taurus, right? The Taurus has been on and off the tracker like 4
on
times.
And off for how many years? Taurus owners,
right? You know, yeah, I don't know what the method is behind that, or the madness is behind that. You know, I could say when the Squadron thing came up, it's like, okay, they had to pull back some things to work on Squadron, but there have been other examples. Salvage was another one, right? Been on and off.
Theaters of War. Oh no.
Well, that's a whole
no.
Don't go down that road. That's a whole nother thing. So let me ask you a question. What's the fix for that to you then? What's the solution so that we don't get people's, it's tough because man,
it's hard. It's hard. It's with this recent information that we're going about with the cargo refactor. We knew that something was going to change, and we knew that it was going, but they didn't give us, we were theory crafting for the most part on what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then, they come out with it. And of course we're, that's not what we expected, but they never, like we said, we talk about expectations. They don't check set the expectations for the community. So we're just off in, theory crafting land, getting lost in our own little thoughts. And when they come back and say, no, that's not what we were talking about. It's like, well, why didn't you tell us this in the first place? What is the fix? I'm guessing just be more upfront. If you're going to tell me that you're working on passenger gameplay, then maybe the next ISC or whatnot, talk more about the AI work that you're doing. That for me, it goes more towards the passenger gameplay that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Or, but you don't have to flat out say it, but, introduce, I see it on the progress tracker. We're working on taxi missions. Maybe in the next ISC, we're talking about how the NPCs are able to locate their seats on on board a ship, whether it be a turret on a hammerhead or, a drop seat on a Cutlass Steel. I dare mention that name, but one way or another, those kinds of things lead me to understand that they might be working further towards it. But
so
don't just put it on there and say nothing else about it. Well, we're going to put taxi missions on.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, because I've heard this statement. Any of you guys can respond to this one because DK triggered something here. People have said, oh God, it just flew out of my head that quick. Doggone it. You were talking about transparency. What was the last thing you were saying, DK? About putting stuff on the tracker?
It's just if you're going to put it on there, give me some information about what.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Several content creators have put out videos and made this statement. CIG, we're adults. We're big enough and old enough to understand when changes come. Just tell us the reason why. And what I mean by that, let's use the example. Remember when we were back with socks? Remember that when we were back with SCL, SOACS, whatever it was? And then we went from that, was it iCash? Remember that? And then they went to, it was something else in between there. And then they said, and then in one of the shows, they said, oh, we found out that it wasn't capable enough to do it. So we had to go to PES, right?
At least they did that.
Right. But they told us after the fact that they did it. They didn't tell us while they were in the middle of realizing that it wasn't going to work. So are we big enough? Are we able to put on our big pants, our big boy pants?
No.
As a community? No.
Exactly.
Okay,
no.
I'm just wondering, are they underestimating us? And we can handle it.
No.
We've been in here
Some of
long
us
enough.
can.
No.
A very small
They
percentage of us
overestimate the
can.
community. If you're in Evil Cotty, you should be able to deal with it. If not, and I'm not an Evil Cotty, right?
Okay.
And you know what I'm saying? But no, the community has shown time and time again that they do not understand what's happening enough to be able to deal with the reality of what's really happening. Now, one of the things that DK did bring to my mind as a possible solution, at least around this, something that can help around this, is on the progress tracker, have a tagging system that shows the back-end system that it's waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah,
so if there
yeah.
are things that are waiting
It's pending
on
on something else that's
server
being done.
meshing,
Mhm.
have that on that item. Pending server meshing, pending PES, pending cargo refactor, pending salvage. Have the back end, have the back end system that they're working on and say, hey, we're working on this feature, but we can't release this feature
Okay.
until these
This is in
things get
place.
done.
Exactly. Mhm.
Right. And have that called out in a way where even it's searchable. Like, show me everything that's waiting on server meshing. Right. And you can go through and list all the things that they've identified. And that's going to be a dynamic list.
Okay.
Right. That's going to be something that's dynamic, that, you know, like, hey, we thought we could do salvage T1, but we definitely going to have server meshing because, you know, the desync right now that we have, it just prevents us from doing it right.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then just have that on there.
Okay.
I think that'll be a great thing.
Okay. Cool. All right. Last one on the sour. It's on you, Gomob. What you got?
Last one on the sour is, let's see.
I mean, this is your
All right,
second.
I'll
Your
say
second. This is your second one. I'm sorry. Your
Second one. Okay, second one. Now, new ships prioritized over existing ships, fixing existing ships. I understand it. I get it. I just don't like it. I would, you know, if right now it feels like it's a 80-20, 80% new ship, 20% existing ship. I would like to see it more 60-40, right?
Okay.
You're putting out all these fantastic new ships, and you're putting all of these new features on. The Corsair is going to have stuff we've never seen before, quality of life wise, around being on a ship. The Spirit is going to have some stuff we've never seen before on a ship, right? And then you're going to fly that around and you're going to be like, great. But then you're like, man, but I love my Connie. And you're going to get on the Connie and you're going to be sitting around looking like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. Like, where are all these features? Where are all these things that this new ship has, but the Connie is supposed to be, above it in the pecking order, but it ain't there, and that's just an example. So I feel like they need to balance that a little bit more, where it's like, hey, here's what's new, but here's where we brought what's new into what we've already released as well. And I understand why they do it. They make their money by selling new ships. This is their funding model. I get that. I understand that.
It's not new ship versus old ship. It's new money versus no money.
Old money. Yeah. But what I will say is, if they fix and make the old ships new, that they will get new money on those old ships. They will get new money. If you brought the freaking Constellation up to the feature level of a 400i, right?
Yeah.
You brought the Constellation up to the feature level of what you're going to release with a Corsair, you would get so much new money, because the Constellation was what brought me to this game, right? When I saw the Constellation, I was like, oh, I got to have it. And I'm sure there are at least a few thousand other people that felt the same way, that don't have a Constellation in their fleet right now because they melted it when they nerfed it, when it got bypassed by every other ship they've released in its class. So if you go back and make it right, and that's just one example, right? The Star, you're like, the Starfare, there's the Caterpillar. There's a lot of ships that have just been left behind.
Do you think when ships go gold standard that helps? Because I do know people who went out and bought the Gladius when it went gold standard. Do you think that helps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it does. It does help. People go out and buy those ships when they get fixed, when they get brought up to speed with where the game is at. But the challenge is that between when it wasn't and when it was released, they released so many other just new ships. And I mean, they probably made so much money on the Gladius. I mean, folks just say, oh man, this is a great deal now. It's the best fighter in the game. I love it. It's great. The UI is fantastic. I mean, it's the only ship. It's one of the only ships where your hand moves around to all the buttons and stuff when you're starting it up and doing all the cool stuff. Like, oh wow, that'd be cool that I could do that on my Constellation. It's just as old. right? They're, you know what I'm saying? It's almost just as old as the Gladius. As a matter of fact, I think the Conti came out before the Gladius.
Yeah.
So
Sure did.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's, you know what I'm saying? And that's just one example of many ships. Like, and I know they have them on the road map.
Right.
But how many new ships are they releasing
Beforehand.
before they the 600i rework is in progress. What other rework is in progress right now? Can y'all tell me that is like actually been touted?
Right. Done.
Nothing. Never
Right.
rework.
So they got one ship that's being worked on for rework, but we're gonna have 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 new ships come out in between the next one. And the 600i isn't even being worked on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
we saw the new concepts the new concepts for the Spirit and Crusaders design language and all that. I'm gonna harp. Why haven't I seen a new concept for the Starliner?
Right.
I would at least a new concept to let me know they
show me something. Split it.
Dark Knight.
Just split it a little bit.
Dark Knight,
you know what I'm saying?
Dark Knight, I think you're having some BMM jealousy with Fast Cart right
I
now.
am
I
having
think
some
that's what's going on right
I'm
now.
seeing that happen. I'm like, come on. My Starliner's older.
You see progress on the BMM and it's starting to mess with you. I think that's what this is coming down to.
I mean, it's right up there with like the Endeavor and the Crucible and all of those older ships that have been introduced so long ago.
I got you.
That's a whole nother discussion talking about unreleased new ships, like announced but unreleased.
Yeah.
I'm talking about old ships that are currently flyable but have problems, like the current 600i, right? You know, it's being reworked. Great. But there are at least 20 other ships that have all the same issues that the 600i does. And when are when we gonna get that?
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay. All right, let's change it up. Next channel here, we're going to go back to Sweet, if I'm not mistaken, and I think we're on Younique. Back to Younique again, if I'm not mistaken. So, what you got for us, Younique? This is your number. What is this? Number 2? Is this number 2, Sweet?
Yeah, number 2,
number 2, Sweet. Okay, yeah, number 2, Sweet. What you got, bro?
Sweet like a bag of Twizzlers. Frame rates are up and more constant, and with higher player counts. That is absolutely sweet. So I think they're on a good road. Hopefully they can hit 200, maybe 400, maybe even 500 players on a server. In the long run. Usually when they strip out all the debug code, things double up. So
yeah.
That's pretty good.
You know what? You mentioned that Younique, and I think that people were a little caught off guard because the first time they did that increase from 50 to 80, if I'm remembering correctly. And then next thing you know, when we got through testing, they jumped it to the servers go up to as high as what now? What's the highest that it goes? It varies.
I've seen it hit 130, almost near 150 on some cases.
150, I think, was the highest, but it usually averages around 120, 110, something like that, or 130. Chat, maybe you guys can help us out with that. But yeah, it has added even that little bit of an increase. I shouldn't say a little bit, because in some cases that's 2.5% or whatever it is, twice as much. It has made a difference in the game. At least it feels different, particularly when people are doing the dynamic events like Jump Town and stuff. And not like they used to be when you had only 50 people in a server. People have noticed the difference in it. And as you mentioned, there has been a better increase with frame rates. That you're absolutely right about that. Those are both good. And as you mentioned, the improvement would be to see it grow, right? To see it get up into bigger numbers. I don't know what this game would have to have in order for it to feel populated. I'm talking about outside of the NPC aspect of it. Whether it's a number like Younique said, like at least 500 people, but that's just in one system. You open up Stanton, we're going to be right back feeling like we were feeling when we were at 50 again, right? It's not going to, we're going to lose what feels like a lot of people. So I don't know what the final numbers would be. Let me ask you guys a question, since Younique brought up numbers. What do you think would be a population on a server, a good number, based upon those two systems, Pyro and Stanton? How many people would you like to see in game? Screw NPCs. How many human players would be impressive to you? And I ain't talking about no 20,000, so don't even go there.
No,
from where we are right now.
I was thinking about it when you were just mentioning that, because we were watching We were watching Kai, Boss Lady, and playing New World. It's New World. And every person there is a person, not an NPC, if I'm correct. And there are NPCs. There are NPCs.
Yeah, but no, but most of the people are players. So you're right.
People,
yes.
Right. I don't know if we're ever going to see that in Star Citizen, as far as 500, 300, 400, 500 people hanging around Stanton.
Really?
Once we get new systems in place.
Oh, okay.
And that's when it's going to thin out.
But I'm asking.
So it might look like it is now.
But let's say
how many people is now?
How many people would you like to see playing with two systems?
If we could,
I'd like to see at least 100 people per planet.
Yeah, if we could get to that,
they could be spread out per planet.
So we're talking about 1,000 people in the server.
People.
Yeah,
it could happen.
I'd say 1,500 people, and you'll have 1,500 people. 1,500 real people is one thing that I need to see. Two, I need to see real NPC traffic around landing zones.
Yes, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? I need to come in to Everest and request landing and says hit a holding pattern, homie.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you land, you got to get off your ship and get it stored because you got people behind you. I need to see life, real and non-player character in the verse for it to give me that MMO.
Yeah.
Right now it's just multiplayer.
Right.
It's not massively multiplayer until you get over 1,500 people.
Some of you all may not know this, those people who came into the game later, but back in the day when we got Hurston, there used to be NPC ships that would come in and land.
Yes.
And it was so cool to see that going on. You didn't know if it was a player or who, but there was a time period where that was in game. Okay. That's a good one, Younique. Thanks. That's a good one. DK, we're going to bounce back to you. What would you like to see as your next suite in the game?
Sweet. See, this is where I started to get to the point of, let's see, I'm going to piggyback, but my last suite is going to be on something else. For this particular suite, I'm bouncing off of what Younique had talked about with the performance of the game. Okay. I have seen drastic performance since I first started playing the game, and that was at the 3.7 was bouncing to 3.8, and I think it was Invictus. Okay. That Microtech had just been revealed, and I don't even know if New Babbage was a landing zone yet, but I think it may have been. But that was when I first got into it. The performance was okay. I'm not running the highest, level, computer. I'm about mid-range, mid-high. But when I got in the first time, I was using a more of a potato computer, and it was okay. But I could definitely feel the stress once I upgraded to a new one. It's still okay, but it was getting better and better and better. And now up to where we are now, I'm just it's just like I don't need to. I don't feel like I have to upgrade my computer, and I wouldn't upgrade it for Star Citizen anyway. I'd upgrade it for something else. But I don't feel like I would need to add anything or improve anything on my current computer in order to get a positive experience out of the game anymore. Okay. Like if you asked me that about a year ago, the same computer I'm using right now, I would have felt I needed to upgrade. But now I don't feel that pressure as much because all of the other games I play run just fine. Yeah. Including Flight Simulator, which is a hog.
Right. Yeah. But, he upgraded for something else. It's called Flight Simulator. It's Flight Simulator. That's what he upgraded for. Don't be coy.
Exactly. That's exactly what I upgraded for. Damn straight, Gomab. Okay. But I mean, the performance has gotten so much better. I'm looking forward to see what Gen 12 brings and the addition of Vulcan and all of those. But the continuous optimization has made me feel good about what is happening behind the scenes. What is going to be happening once things get a little bit further ahead in 3.18, and then what is going to be happening once we get to 4.0 and they're in a more stable state of, say, a static server meshing, an actual static server meshing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Awesome. Gomab, sweet. What you got? Number 2.
I've got 2 of them left, but I'm gonna go with this one. That they're pushing the envelope and they're getting new features in the game. Like they're actually doing it, guys. They're doing it. They're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like we may complain, we may have bugs, and we may have issues, and we may talk shit about their communication strategies and whatnot. But they're doing what they're saying they're going to do. They're doing it, right? And we're able to like experience it. Like the good, bad, and the ugly, and there's a lot of ugly, a lot of good. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of good, and I'm excited for even more good. Like, oh man, like me, I'm a freaking goblin. I like money, so like I'm going to see what this new salvage gameplay is all about. Can I make some? They say salvage. That 1 SCU of salvage is supposed to equal the same cost as 1 SCU of Quantanium, and so I'm like, hey, can I get some? Can I get that faster than I can get Quantanium? You know what I'm saying? Like, let me see. Like, so there's new stuff coming. I'm really excited about like percentage energy streaming, assuming that it actually scales and works and is the solution. There's still a possibility, folks. I want to make sure everybody tempers their expectations. There's still a possibility that this ain't it, right? That the PS isn't what's going to work. But I'm excited for them trying to do that. I'm excited for server meshing. That's what's going to get us to the thousands of users and players and NPCs. Subsumption, right? Where the NPCs can exist in the verse, but not be rendered in the game until you are in range of them, and they just get populated and they're there and they're happening, and the NPCs are separated from the server of the regular. I'm excited for all of that stuff, and they're doing it, right? They're bringing stuff that has never been done before in games. Every other game you play, everything happens in the engine, in the game, and so they're vastly limited to what they could do, right? They do those other games, those release games. They do a good job of making it look dynamic and making it look smooth and making it look good, because most of the stuff that happens is on rails. What CIG is doing is putting in a level of dynamic activity across all levels of player and NPC interaction that is essentially bogging the entire server down right now. But when they split those things out, it's going to be something that, like CR said, he wants you to not to know whether you're dealing with an NPC or a character or a player.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft, you know you're dealing with an NPC. Why? Because he's standing there. And when you go away and come back, he's going to still be standing there. He doesn't have a life that, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have like, oh, I'm hungry, I need to go eat. Right. Oh, I have a job I need to go to at this time, right? You know, so that to me is the sweet, that they're pushing the envelope of the entire industry of gaming. They're doing something that has never been even attempted. I mean, the technology ain't there yet, so they got to build it.
Yeah.
And we're a part of it.
Okay.
That's pretty damn cool.
Very cool. All right, we're getting there. Last round, gang. Last round. We're going to go to our next sour. And DK, we're back at you again. Back at you. What you got for us for the sour, brother?
Oh, man. Okay. So maybe this sour was one of those that I had listed on here as a piggyback.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm going to take the sweet that I had behind it and turn it into a sour.
All right.
But also bring it back as a sweet. Sour.
Gomab's cooking.
Now, the reason I'm going to say the community.
Oh, community?
The only reason I'm going to say the community is because of impatience. And it's not really a slight at the community, but I think it's really more of I keep coming back to managing expectations. With CIG creating this sense of urgency that the gaming community and its impatience latches onto. Whether
Is that deliberate? Is that deliberate, or does that just come with the turf?
Marketing? It's marketing, and it's also, it's deliberate. It's marketing. It does come with the turf.
So is that their fault if they're marketing and people? You said it earlier, managing expectations. Jared has said, manage your expectations. But at the same time, I get what you're saying. They're also throwing the cheese out there, right?
They're also throwing the cheese. They're dangling the carrot in front of your horse. I mean, it is. This is something that they do, and whether or not it is a concerted effort with the marketing team to push something out there that gets gets into people's hands, and they go, "Oh wow, I got to get into this right now," or whether it's just a community being so impatient about wanting what they want right now that when it doesn't happen, they go up in arms. I mean, it's kind of a one meets the other, and they kind of coexist in the same plane, but at the same time they're repelling each other like a magnet. I don't know how best to put it, but because it's the sweet and sour. It really is.
Let me ask you this: is FOMO real with this game? Now I'm being real particular about that, right? The whole fear of missing out dynamic. Have our backers woken up to that, or are they still subject to that when they make purchases?
That's a real good one. I think it depends. I would like to say it depends on the person.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
When you put things out, such as when I want to say like the 400i came out. I don't know. Might not be the best example, but the leak came out. They didn't say anything about it. Then they came out with a commercial as a April Fool's joke and called it the 404i.
Right.
And then they come out months later after saying they didn't even, that it didn't exist. They come out months later and put it into the CitizenCon, and they just throw it out there. Here's a bone. It doesn't exist, but we're not going to talk about it. But here it is. That kind of thanks for the follow. And then it's on sale. This is probably the worst example. But the FOMO is that you kind of build it up, especially with the 404 commercial, and people are like, oh, then it must really be coming, and it's kind of one of those things. And yeah, that's a really bad example. Okay, I'm going to jump off of that. I'm going to let somebody else take this one and go off with it. I can piggyback it. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay, that's fair.
They do FOMO. All I got to
They do
it every year.
All the time.
There's a couple of javelins available. Only a couple.
2890s are going up for sale during IAA, and you're going to get them at 2 o'clock in the morning.
But here's the kicker: most of those people that go buy a Kraken or an Endeavor or Javelin, I think they know that the game it's not coming anytime soon. So what's the fear of missing out? I mean, it's not like, oh, it may come out next year in 2023. I better help them get this thing before they stop selling them. Every year when IAE comes around, just the limit is when they limit it. You think just the limiting aspect?
I got a hot take.
Okay,
I got a hot take.
What's your hot take, Goma?
Hot take. If you spend $1,000 plus on a ship, and you don't know what the hell you're getting into, I need you to kick all the rocks. All of them. I don't want to hear shit from you. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear it. You just make bad choices. That's the name of my ships. All of my ships that are named is named Bad Choices. And you, sir, the person that talking to you, have bought that $1,000 ship and wants to complain about the state of the game, you make bad choices. And ain't on nobody else. That ain't on CIG. That's on you.
Okay.
But they made me do it.
And live with
They
it.
made me do it.
Okay, they made me do it, right? They twisted my arm, twisted that wallet right in my
Gomab is
pocket.
being jealous because it's like, well, if Younique dies, he can't transfer me that $1,000 shit. I can't get my hands on it.
Bad choices.
God. All right, Gomab, let's go to you then. What's your we're on sour, right? Yeah, sour. Yeah, what's your last sour?
In all seriousness, my sour right now is the pace of development.
Okay.
Right? We are supposed to have what, 100 systems in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine we're like just opening my brain up to the world of what should, could, and might be. We are only scratching the surface as to the number of and variants of vehicles that we'll have in the PU, right? If we're supposed to have 100 systems in the game, let's say that only half of them are going to be fleshed out into anything worth have a landing zone, whatever, right?
Right.
So that's 50. If they do one system a year, y'all can do the math.
Thanks for the follow.
You know what I'm saying? So if they do 5 systems a year, that's still 10 years, folks, before we get 50 systems that we can go and actually have real gameplay in. And they're looking at 100. And I know they are building the tools to speed this up. And by God, they have to build these tools. These tools have to work. They've got to be able to crank these systems out 10, 20 at a time in order for us to have anything to do in 5 years.
So let me ask a question. Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
It is believed by many, not because of any insider information, I don't think, but it is believed by many that there are other systems completed, but the tech does not allow us to access. It's not worth putting them in right now. You said it earlier, some systems are going to be much more barren than others. Some will be more active than others. So let's just say that I'm just picking a random number, okay? Because we know that they were doing things like working on Terra, Nyx, things of that nature, okay? We know that there's some stuff that's in the game because of Squadron 42, okay? If there are, and listen, y'all, I'm not saying this is true, so please don't go nowhere and say that Griff said this is true. Let's just say that there are 10 systems finished. They just need to be hand taken care of, hand done. Certain, landing zones, custom things of that nature. I agree with you 100%. I believe that when they do start pushing them out, it won't be one system a year. It won't be 2 systems a year. If they get to a point where it's a system a quarter, that would be amazing to me. But I believe it's going to be even higher than that over time.
It's got to be.
It's got to be. Otherwise, right. And
otherwise,
and I've always said this.
Math.
You've heard me say this before. 100 systems is great. 50 systems is enough for me, based on the way they've done the systems now. 50, it's a lot of real estate in 50 systems, right?
Yeah.
100 systems is just it blows my mind to think about 100 systems. But my gut feeling is that they do have more done than what we've seen. Maybe not polished, not to the point where all the landing zone and custom stuff in. But they remember when they did the change out on the moons, and they said it took them 2 years to do it, and when they went back and did it the next time after they got the tools, it took them 3 months. So for them to build out the worlds, I don't think is an issue. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into the systems. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they get most of their tools or all of their tools really working, I think they'll be able to do like 3 systems a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but still, 3 systems a quarter, that's 12 systems a year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, they're not trying to open with 100. They already said it was going to be staggered.
No. It's not going to
No,
open with 100.
Just saying that's how many it would be, though, if you were taking them in a
But
lump
if
sum.
we're, saying 12 a year, if they say they're going to get to 100, that's still
7 years. 7 years. Of
yeah,
development.
7-8 years before they get to that.
But you got to figure out when they go from like finished beta, how many are going to be in the finished beta. If they're at 30 or 50 already, and then the following year they add 12, and then the following year they add 12, because you're going to want some new discovery, like some jump point was
and that's what justifies it.
discovered, and
That's
that
what
leads to another 10
justifies it. That's what
systems,
justifies a good point, Younique, because to have 100 systems and you can't even get out of the first 2 or 3, and you got to work your way out, that buys them some time. That's a good point.
Even if they finish them, they got to put a discovery point in. Somebody has to discover it and learn the wormhole and publish that information.
Subscription.
And on the other side of that is the ships, right?
Yeah. We have enough.
Oh my God, dude.
We have enough ships.
Like,
Jesus
they
Christ.
got to be quicker on these ships.
Mhm.
I got more ships than I got solar systems.
Yeah, but I mean, they gotta get quicker on these ships. They gotta be able to crank them out. Like, I'm sorry, like, think about where we're at now, and realistically, think about how many ships are between where we're at now and the Endeavor, which we already pretty much know is going to be the last ship that's released before the game goes into full beta or release.
Could be.
Come on.
No. Listen. The reason why I'm saying
for the
could
PU.
be, what I'm saying could be is it has more to do with what has not creating the ship isn't the issue. What you don't have are the careers that go along with the ship.
The gameplay stuff.
Right.
Well, I mean, hell, the Perseus. I'm sorry, the Perseus could be in the game right now. Everything that's everything that's there, it's not like it's going to come in and be a world beater. The Hammerhead is a good counter to it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so, but the Perseus is how long is it going to take?
Well,
how many more years are we going to wait before the Perseus comes?
I agree with ships that are 6 crew or less. I agree with you. Ships that are 6 or more than 6 people in the universe, with the limited amount of people that we have for players, would just be detrimental.
Yes.
Putting an interest in the game would be crazy.
That's why I stopped at the Perseus. I didn't say the Polaris.
Right. Yes.
Like the Cuddy Steel came out, half the server can get on the Cuddy Steel.
Exactly. Right. Half the damn server. But again, right. You know what I'm saying?
Put a Valkyrie and a Cutlass Steel in, and you've got half of a server back in the
half
50
the
days,
server
right?
all right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Odyssey, right? The Odyssey. How long is that going to take to come out? We've already got ships in the game that take up more people. You got the Carrot, you got the 890 Jump, you got the Hammerheads. I like the player count on it, but that ship, I do not realistically expect to see the Odyssey in the game for another 18 months at least.
Could be. You might be right.
Yeah, so they got to get faster at this.
Well, here's the deal. And we're going to move on because we're going to get past the other points, but you raised a good point. The good news is, 1, CIG just built new studios. 2, they're adding at least, 30-40% more staff that are going to be coming on board. They're at 832 now, something like that. And I think they're trying to shoot for 1,300 to 1,500 people that'll be working out of Manchester. So the additional bodies hopefully will help. That doesn't, and I don't know if that means in relation to expansion anyplace else at the other studios that they have, whether they're going to close down a studio someplace else and bring people to Manchester. I haven't heard anything like that, but they are trying to increase, and they've told us they're hiring all the time. So,
I don't think it's a manpower thing. I think it's a process thing.
But I mean,
manpower is always
help.
a part of it.
It would help, right? I mean, it would help.
Manpower is always a part of it,
right? It would
but
help.
I think it's their processes. I think they have bottlenecks.
Yeah.
I think they. I think I think folks are asking why the Cuddy Steel was created. I think the Cuddy Steel was created to test out rapid deployment of a variant.
Yeah.
Right. That was the primary thing. Like, hey, we've got a chassis. Can we modify the chassis and get it rapidly deployed into the game, into something that's further? That to me, as far as an alpha test and them getting testing data was concerned, does that work? How are they testing that? So I think they're working on those tools. The second reason why I think the Cuddy Steel was made was for NPC's dropship.
Yes.
But they're working on the tools. I know they're working on the tools. And
I think it was made for theaters of war.
Yeah, that too.
That's interesting. Yeah. But to your point, Goma, when I mentioned about the increase of staff, I was referring more in relation to when you were talking about shipbuilding more than anything else. Yeah. Artists, because there's only so many people that get assigned to working on ships. You know what I mean? So you said they got to start pushing ships out more. I'm saying they got to push more them people out. Working.
We got to see 5, 6, 10 a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done. And then once we get that pipeline going quicker, then we can start seeing these older ships getting some more attention as well. Yeah. So it's not all about the new ships too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's about getting those old ships
as well.
You know what I'm saying? Into the pipeline and getting them reworked quicker. The 600i rework, they teased it. They showed all these pictures. I don't expect to see that before next IAE.
Please.
I do. Don't say that. Now you're treading in my water. You're treading in my water now. Okay, let's move on.
Look, that's gonna be my ship.
Okay,
but I don't expect to see it sometime soon. It ain't even on the roadmap.
Okay,
they're not working on it.
All right, fair enough. All right, last but not least, we're back to Younique, if I'm not mistaken here. Younique, what's your final sour here you got?
Final sour, kimchi. Kimchi is my final sour. I love it. Broken missions that you can't complete. Ship doors don't open, an NPC doesn't spawn, the loot doesn't spawn, the bounty target doesn't spawn. This leads to a feeling of a huge amount of wasted trying to have fun rather than having actual fun. That's basically what happens. You're trying to have fun, but it's just a waste of time. And again, now, most of these are minor things that they get jumping and fix, but they push it off. Okay. If you can't complete a mission, that's part of the testing. What happens after I complete the mission? How do I move up the chain, mission chains and stuff?
That angle I get better. That angle I get. I mean, the fun aspect.
Reset mission button.
Yeah, I mean the fun aspect. I don't get me wrong. I agree about the fun aspect, but the fun still is a byproduct at this point for me. The joy of completing something is always great. Being able to see it through. And obviously, to your point, if I can't finish it, how do we even know if the rest of the mission works? Because I can't even get past a certain point. There's a blocker. So that's a good point.
It's that old adage. Why do I keep hitting my head with this hammer? Because it feels so good when I stop.
Okay. On that note, let's go to.
I just like the way the hammer feels.
Go Mob. I think we're to you now because DK started that one off. Last one, gang, on the sweets. Let's go to sweets. And what you got for us, brother?
Put on my cape here, man. Dun, 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 dun. The dynamic nature of the game, right? There have been plenty of times where the missions have all went to crap. The things I wanted to do that were baked in the game for me just weren't working. But I can get with some friends and we can make our own fun. Right?
Fun?
Yeah.
Oh, how dare you?
Yeah, we can make like I said, it's a byproduct of the testing. Byproduct of the testing.
Commodity of a game.
Okay.
Fun.
Yeah. We can do we could, you can get 10 people and do a 5-on-5 ground battle at Shubin Mining Facility 145. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And everybody, and you can have a good time. Yeah, well, there's no elevators there. You can have a good time, right? You can, if you to plug a channel, if anybody watches Citizen Kate, right? And her org, the Skunk Works, and and the stuff that they do, like every now and then they'll do stuff, like the baked in stuff like Jump Town and whatnot. But a lot of times they're like, hey, we're going to get 20 people and we're going to try to break into Klesher. You know what I'm saying? We'll see if we can get into Klesher, or we're going to get 50 people on our side and go to another org and tell them they get 50 people, and we're going to battle for this plot of land on Daymar. And so you're not confined, you're not on rails with this game. Whereas if if it doesn't work, then you just have nothing to do.
Yeah.
You can actually go get with some folks and go have a good time. Now, the bad side of that, y'all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, all the amount of time it takes to build up a friends list because it doesn't actually work all that well.
The bad part of that is there's some people that their idea of fun is ruining other people's evening. And so, but hey, the verse is a dangerous place. Stay on your toes, mind your movements, you know what I'm saying? And make sure if you hear that word bogey, go ahead and spool up and get the hell on. Don't wait to see what happens, right? You know what I'm saying? Mind your movements. Just stay diligent. You can avoid a lot of the BS that happens where people are trying to make their own fun at the expense of others. But outside of that, there's still a lot of fun to be had based upon the dynamic nature of the game.
Is there anything that CIG could do to promote better to do that? Or just the tools are there and players just need to.
Oh yeah, I mean there's huge amount of stuff. Like right now, the org communication tools are absolutely trash. Right. They're not trash because they don't exist.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
other than the chat when you like if someone's in your
you
group,
can create
that's
a channel and invite people manually into the channel and all that stuff. That's that's a thing, but it's not like there's been no love given to the player made organizations in the game, right? And there needs to be. There's been no work towards delegation of roles or ownerships or anything like that, where like if I'm a part of an org, I can say, hey, you guys can pull out my Carrick, my Hammerhead, my 890, my so, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like this level in my org, if you're of this level and up, you have access to these ships in my fleet as org ships. Right. That's not there yet. It's not on the roadmap. They say it's coming, and I believe that it's coming when it becomes
org tools are supposed to be on the list of things that they've got. Org 2.0.
Yeah, org tools. Yeah. So yes, they could do that a lot better, right? Okay. As far as the ruining people's night, I look at it negatively because there's just no gameplay benefit in doing it right now. So I'm not saying CIG, you should stop this. I'm saying CIG, you should make it beneficial. You should put something in the game where if you're siding with the Nine Tails and you've aligned to that, then you're on that side. And so if you go kill a random player, you get paid for it, but you also you carry the risk of that association with you. Like you've picked that role, you know what I'm saying? So you're a persona non grata in everywhere that is controlled by the UEE, but now you're able to you know what I'm saying, play the game the way you want to play it. But there's consequences and risk involved in that. Godspeed. Okay. So that's what I say CIG could do to make that a little bit better.
That's good. Dynamic nature of the game. Okay. Younique, your last suite.
My last suite. It would be, I am looking forward to retiring out of 3.17. Mine is really close coming and moving into 3.18 and all the new bugs that come with it that we haven't experienced yet. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. All right.
It's been a year with the same old bugs. I need new bugs to track down. If I'm testing, then I want to. Yeah.
And I agree with you. Anytime we do get a major update, even with the headache aspects of it, it is nice because, like you said, it's more feature based now, more than just some new little thing that they've added, which is nice. We'll see what happens. Younique 3.18 end of the year is the word, end of the quarter. But I'm like you, I'm looking forward to it as well. I am. A lot of stuff there. DK, you get to close us out, buddy.
All right.
What's your last suite?
All right. My last suite is the community. This game has brought together an amazing community. Gomab, you just mentioned emergent gameplay of what can happen when people don't have anything else to do but can create their own gameplay, just like Citizen K did. And one of the things I was thinking of when you mentioned that was, with the piracy and people just making other people's stages worse, is with the new cargo refactor and all of that. And I remember, just hearing somebody's like, yeah, I can take down your C2, la, la, la. I'm sitting there thinking about, you see one C2, but there might be 10 people on board, and you break it up and 7 people survive, and now you got to go try and take them on. It's just like, here you go. Here you go. Now you're today. Here you go. It's like you thought there was only one person on board, but nah. See, they had all their buddies on board too. And they were all waiting for you to come. Escorts? You didn't need ship escorts. You got people inside. So that was one of the things I was thinking of. And when it comes to gameplay like that, I had mentioned before that there isn't a whole lot for me to do myself. I'm not a huge combat person, and cargo running just gets annoying, old after a while. The bugs with breaking down missions that just don't work for cargo missions and things like that. Like you do 15 minutes in a non-quantum box mission, and then the box doesn't work. It doesn't go into the kiosk or whatever. Stupid stuff like that. But I can jump on a server before and just wait for people to accept the transport mission. I just need to transport. I'll probably get shot, but half the time I'm not even dressed in anything worth it. I'm wearing a pair of pants and a shirt and some good shoes, and I'm in a ship that doesn't need me to have a flight suit on. I'm just like, I'm here to pick you up, man. What's up? Those kinds of things I can do now to keep me busy whenever I go on, and of course jumping in with friends and people, and all of us.
DK, are you looking forward to interacting with the community because of that? Like that whole transport thing? Is that like the other side of it for you?
Absolutely. I can't remember who it was that turned me on to an org that I have yet to sign up for, but I'm going to look further into. But they are a pure transport org, and they just go around picking up random people. But same thing with another org I'm in, airline based, running passengers. That's our thing, right. But right now, since there's no passenger missions, we just pick up people who need a ride. You see the little transport beacon pop up, I'm just going to take that and go pick you up. If I get shot, I get shot. I don't care. I can go to get these new clothes over at the, next Kasaba and the next space station. Ain't nothing to me, but I'm just, providing a service. And I think that's the one kind of thing so we can do right now. But overall, the community is awesome. Nice. The community is really, really good. And it's just nice to see a game bring people together in this way. The only other games I can think of are, like Elite did that, maybe not to the level of Star Citizen, I'm not saying that, but, did that. And, as far as developing teams go, I'm going to say it, Microsoft Flight Simulator, their development team is top notch when it comes to just information to the community, but the community itself is really on par. So I'll leave it at that. Good job, you all.
Okay. Let me say this: we have a really good community in Star Citizen, and most people who've been in other gaming communities have talked about one of the things they notice is that the people in our community are very helpful and very friendly. Even though we, like all communities, they have some toxic aspects to it, but I have to admit this is one of the best ones. And I do want to say we have one of the best communities of Soul Citizens. We have a lot of cool people that are here that support us every week, and we always appreciate you guys just as much. We do have a couple questions for the panel. Question number 1 comes from Pops in Space. Pop says, does the timeline in the roadmap generate sweet and sour for the players? Because IAE and other events are the bread and butter to CIG, does it push CIG past their limits and cause issues? What do you guys think about that? Because he's mentioned a couple different things here. Yeah, I mean, he mentions about the roadmap, but then he talks about, IAE. He's asking, does the roadmap itself generate people, like you said, sweet and sour attitudes, just the roadmap itself? But then he also talks about the fact does IAE and other events that we know that's what brings in their bread and butter, does that also maybe put a lot of stress on CIG, pushing their limits a little bit and cause problems with the development because they've got to prepare for IAE or for Invictus, stuff like that?
2 words: funding model.
Mm-hmm.
If any dev complains about IAE, they need to quit, because this is how they get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I get it. You got to take time out to make sure that shit works. I mean, that's, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But you every year you see a spike in ship sales.
Mm-hmm.
That spike means you get paid, more people get hired,
Companies
the game
around
continues to
longer.
get developed.
Yep. Yeah. Something to think
I'm
about.
gonna go 100% on that, Gomab. 100% on that.
Yeah.
That is their funding model. We are their
That's it.
we are their angel investors. We're getting back the experience.
So could we work under the assumption though that because those things are built in, they're not just things that pop up and we've got to stop working now because IAE is coming up. You know what I'm saying? It's built in.
It's just part of it.
It's just part of their thing.
Yep.
So it's not like it catches them off guard or it's slowing down progress.
It's coming every year. They know it's coming. IAE is coming.
1 month out of
Invictus is
the year, we got to shift gears and work towards this, and then we'll get back to our regular tasks.
It should be built into the timelines
Okay.
of everything.
Okay. And we got one more. This one's from Kavion. Kavion says, any chance Star Citizen goes into beta after server meshing is where they want it? Or do we have a lot of other stuff to do other than server meshing for Star Citizen to become beta? In other words, do you guys think that server meshing will be the launching point for them to consider going into beta? Or do you think there's other stuff? We do know there's some other major tech things. We know that Gen 12 is coming in. We know Vulcan's coming in. We know PES is coming in. We know that server meshing. Those are the 4 big things that they've talked about. Is there something else? Is there some other freaking hurdle that they've got to jump over before they can start talking about beta?
I think they have to finish at least Pyro and
See how that
game
works.
loops
See how that
for
works.
a lot of the careers.
Yes.
Yeah, careers is going to be big. I think the long pole in the tent is going to be tool. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've shown that they can build landing zones and planets and moons and systems.
Mm-hmm.
They've shown that they can build ships. They've shown that they can build careers. They've shown that they can build all of these things by hand. But until they're able to systematically and programmatically create them dynamically, then they cannot transition into beta.
Hey, thanks for the subscription.
Thank you, Phased Kitten. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I would go along with that too. Is that would maybe at 4.0 with, like Younique said, the addition of Pyro, bringing in the technologies for server meshing to be a working thing. Maybe not dynamic, but at least static. I would say dynamic would be preferable for beta.
Gotta be dynamic.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I think beta, I think you also point about other stuff being included in the game, because beta is usually where you're getting where the bulk of the game is, and now we're starting to polish. We're starting to polish stuff.
All the tier zeros are there.
Yeah.
For the bulk.
X-Quinn-X made a great statement. He said, beta is tech complete.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And release is content complete.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when the underlying tech is complete, tools complete, and this is what they're going to, they're beta testing what they're planning on releasing, and they still just got to fill in some gaps on some tools, on some content, and they just got to color in the lines. with
Mhm.
content, but all the tech is there.
Yep.
Then that's when we'll go to beta.
That's a good point, and that's exactly That's where we could see it, like maybe at the end of server meshing.
I think it's going to be.
The
I think it's going to.
highest level
I
tech.
think it's going to be longer than that, though.
think so?
Well, no, not from the tech aspect. I agree with you as far as tech goes. I think though that what you said earlier about the tier 0 stuff being in, I think that's what's got to. We got salvage has got to be in. Exploration's got to be in.
That relies on the tech,
things.
like everything.
Oh, you mean tech from that
tier
aspect?
zeros.
Okay, I'm referring more to tech from gameplay. I get what you're saying, though, DK. I just wanted to make sure when you said tech, I'm thinking more back end network. I'm thinking.
I'm kind of thinking both.
Yeah,
because the back end of some of this tech that's being developed right now, such as server meshing, the tier 0 for my, for mine requires all of that in order to happen. Yeah. So that tier 0 for all those tier 0s being in place, that means the tech has got to be in place at the same time for all of that to work. Yeah. Those tier 0s are just a foundation for those specific careers. Mm-hmm. Now, when we get the beta, we can start fleshing those out a little bit more and start working on how does all that going to work. But the tier 0s are already there.
Okay. All right, gang. We are going to wrap this up because it is late. And these guys have given us a wealth of information. So I want to say a special thank you to all of them. I want to say a special thank you. No giveaways tonight. No giveaways tonight because we have IAE coming up.
Give away enough knowledge.
Yeah, we give away knowledge tonight. Yeah, you gave away your personalities. Right
I have a ship I want to give away.
Well, can we save it for IAE because that'd be a better time? Because tonight's not a good night for me to do it. I've got to be out of here in a little bit.
Okay.
Listen, guys, we want to say
thank
folks.
You to it's Griff.
TV.
It's not me.
Yeah, it is me. TV Liquid, thank you so much. And those of you who came over from TV Liquid and hung out with us, hope you enjoyed the show. To all of our regular followers and viewers, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And those who subscribed, those who followed, as always, we really appreciate all the new folks who came on board. And hope you guys will continue to join us as we continue to share some thoughts and stuff about the game that we like. Let me skip. I'm going to jump right into it. DK, talk about Thursday for me.
Oh, yes. So Thursday is Soul Talk. Thursday is a very good night for you to come in and hang out with us and other members of the Soul Citizens community and talk about things that have been happening with, say, ISC. Or the previous SCL, because obviously it's on Thursday night, so the next SCL hasn't happened yet. But also talking about other things that are happening in our own community, whether it be events or machinima, things like that. We might talk about the roadmap and things that have been happening in lore. Who knows? But it's a chance for all of you to come and chat with us. It could be a group of me. Who knows how many people might show up? But please, come on in. There's a lot of us that show up like almost every week. Yep. We would love to have some new voices come.
We want to talk about things you want to talk about.
Things you want to talk about. So please come and join us Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. I don't even know what the UTC is time because I'm not doing it in my head. But y'all figure it out. But yeah, please come. Soul Talk, Thursday nights. And then after that, Soul Talk, Soul Citizens After Dark. You have that every Sunday too. But come find us on Discord, please. Come hang out in our Discord.
You can come in and ask, how come Dark Knight has 75 at the end of his name? Is that his age, or is that how many times?
They're right. You won't know it, so you come and hang out.
Ask him that question.
Bob, could you do Soul Voices, please?
Yeah. So make sure you guys come hang out with us on Saturday afternoons to join the conversation as part of Soul Voices. So on Thursday, it's just a kind of a round table. Everybody's in there, giving their points. But on Saturday, it's a more of a one-on-one conversation. You get to come in and give your opinions on the things that are happening in Voice. So feel free to drop by. So, and also this is Soul Voices is a part of PodSat Saturdays, where we are a part of the crew. I don't have it up right now. Who's all part of PodSat Saturdays, Griff?
Oh, I'm so sorry, bro. You're going to that already. There you go. Astropub and Relay.
So Yeah, so we got Astro Pub and Relay. So you got Astro Pub coming up at 6 p.m. and then Relay at 9 o'clock. So get your Star Citizen podcast fill on Saturday, right? With 3 great shows. So starting with Soul Voices at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Come check us out.
Okay, awesome. And I won't throw this on Younique because nobody knows what this show is about. Next week's show.
You got the date in the past too, right?
On Sunday, do I? I got the wrong date down. Oh Lordy, I sure
We're going
do.
back in time, folks.
You know what? I moved the shows around and I forget to correct the date. Listen, next Sunday we're going to be doing a show called Stanton POI. We're going to be talking about our favorite points of interest in the Stanton system. Places that we like to go, maybe where we like to eat, where we like to shop, where we like to gun down people. We're going to be having that conversation on next Sunday. So hopefully you guys will join us for that. And yeah, that'll be our show for next week. And
I'll tell you that on next Sunday's show, I'll tell you about my secret beach house.
Oh, you got a secret beach house. Oh Lord. Yeah, what's going to be the prettiest spots, all that type of stuff. We're going to be talking about all types of good stuff next week. So hopefully you guys can join us for that. Okay. Once again, thank you to Dark Knight. Thank you to GoMob. Thank you to Younique for being here tonight. Thank you to our moderators, Ops Chief and Fast Cart that are out there. And thank all of you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Both to us, those of you who are on YouTube,
Please like and subscribe.
You guys, yeah, please like and subscribe. Right?
Tell a friend. Tell a friend.
We do really appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight. We have this is somebody I've never seen before, so I'm going to trust Ops Chief's judgment here because I have no idea who this is that we are raiding. But we are going to set up a raid for Monkey Juan. At least that's for how I think he pronounces this name is Monkey Juan.
Monkey.
But yeah, we're gonna do that. So when you get over there, give Monkey Juan a shout from Soul Citizens. Let him know that you came over. If you like what you see, of course, like and follow him. But until then, hopefully we'll see you guys next week. As we always tell you, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and peace, love, and soul. We'll see you guys soon. Have a good night.
Yeah. Let's hope it's not like a hot tub stream in the Phoenix.
Yeah.